Welcome back after the break. And now we have in our studios Dr. Chaudhry Inayatullah with us to discuss Pakistan may face a super flood situation this year, according to some officials who were talking to the National Assembly Standing Committee on Water Resources. Sir, in your opinion, the chances of big flood are relatively higher this year because of extra snow on the mountains and then extra heat coming in the summers. It's a pretty drastic situation, sir, with climate change affecting Pakistan and this general area very badly. What do you foresee, sir?
Yeah, well, it is absolutely correct because we have a very heavy snow during winter, and it is a very rare case that we are getting snow even at the end of the March. So, and particularly at the lower mountain levels, like in Murray Hills and lower mountain areas, we are having very heavy snowing, and once the temperatures will rise immediately, as it is happening for the last 2 or 3 days, this water will immediately melt and it will come into the streams. So there is a situation that
So why is it that in the past 70 years we've not been able to manage our water resources efficiently and effectively? Every year we see either we are in a drought situation or not enough water in our rivers, and there are other enemies that are trying to stop our water. Or we have a situation where we have too much water and we end up with a disastrous situation in the form of floods. So why can't we find a technical, scientific solution, sir, to this perennial problem that we have to face time and time again?
Yeah, well, it is Pakistan. We are facing a dual problem, like too much water and too little water. Sometimes, in some years, we have very small amount of water. So actually, there is a need of the storage and monitoring capacity of the institutions to monitor the rivers and streams, how much water is coming, and in that, so that you can plan how much water is going to be released from the dams and the barrages and all that. Unfortunately, our monitoring system is not really very scientific. That's one reason. That's one reason. And the other thing is that we have not paid much attention to the storage.
Why is it, sir? Why, first of all, why are we not following scientific principles in trying to manage our water resources, which are very essential for life itself, sir? Don't you think that's a gross negligence? Something needs to be done about that.
I will say that it is a gross negligence on the part of the bureaucracy, as well as the negligence on the political side as well, political leaders as well, because for example, in case of Kalabagh Dam, we had invested so much of money, we had conducted the studies, the construction was done, the dam was about to be started, and then suddenly, due to some international, nonsense interventions, the project has been derailed, and a lot of political attention has been come. Since you have, I've been thinking a lot on this Kalabagh Dam issue. Because you see, one reason, it is documented in the Flood Commission report when it was done in 2010, that if Kalabagh Dam has been constructed, the losses in Punjab and Sindh could have been very minimal, because you can control the release of water from Varsik, control the release of water from Tarbela, and then into Kalabagh, and then have a you taper off the peaks of flood water which is going into the downstream rivers. So, and Sindh was the most province which was affected the most. And then it is ridiculous. Then people were trying to, and the governments and some NGOs, they were trying giving pumps to farmers to pump out water. So where they will take the water away? They will pump water from their field and it will go into somebody else's field. So this was a very bad situation, and the losses in 2010 flood was $20 billion US, and in 2011 it was $10 billion. Yes, so since you have asked this question, I have a very innovative solution, and I think I would like to, through your program, I would like to highlight this to the political leaders and to the army and to the bureaucracy.
Sure.
It is very simple. First thing is that there have been too many issues about the location of the lake and the location of the dam and all that. Let's in the National Assembly or in the National Security Council, let's declare that the Kalabagh Lake and the dam is a federal area, federal territory. Simple. So it is a property of every Pakistani. That's one thing. So it will resolve almost 25% of the solution. Then the chief engineer of the army, he should take the responsibility that 10-year average water which is flowing downstream to Kotri, he will ensure that that water is going to Badin and Thatta area, because that is an area which genuinely needs fresh water. So this should be the responsibility of the army, as President Pervez Musharraf did that in his time. He released the water of Punjab towards the Sindh. That's one. Number two, the third thing is that the electricity and the water released from Kalabagh Dam is a price commodity. Whosoever province wants water, let's say 5 rupees per cubic meter or 10 rupees per cubic meter or whatever the ratio they decide. So whatever the water and the electricity which is used by any province, it has come back to the Kalabagh Dam fund, and from there it covers its operational cost, and the profit goes back to the national pool, which is divided to the provinces according to the national financial plan.
Right, sir.
So this is another one. And for the finances, some people will say that the finances and all this. I always think that why don't we talk to Chinese and get Kalabagh Dam built on BOT basis, for example. I mean, if there is a solution, if people say that if there is a well, there is a way, and if there is a well, there is a motorway as well.
Absolutely, sir. Senior officials have also called for the release of 15 billion rupees, sir, for flood protection activities. Do you think that's enough? And do you think that that money must be released urgently in order to, make sure or safeguard the damage that might result from the floods that are going to take place, sir?
That's absolutely necessary. I think 15 billion, whatever they have estimated for their schemes. But I would say they should be given much more money. And for example, I have visited a lot in Rajanpur at Dera Ghazi Khan area. So all the flash floods coming from the Koi Suleiman, the water enters into the DG Khan city and Rajanpur city, and every year the people are suffering, and every year the irrigation department, they construct these streams and this and that. But the need is really in the mountains to make the check dams over there. So I would go one step more. They should be given more money to implement these kind of schemes.
So, well, they're also talking about these two events, which are simultaneous monsoon rainfalls on the northern parts of the country and the entry of westerly waves in Balochistan in the southern parts of the country. Then they occur at the same time. There can be a super flood at any time. And this is also connected to the climate change, sir, that we are all grappling with globally. But that is a real important issue. How do we address this, sir?
This is very important, and we had an experience and very good scientific analysis of 2010 flood. That was a super flood in the history of Pakistan. In that case, in 2010, what happened was then we had a monsoon coming from the Bay of Bengal. Then we have also a weather system coming from Arabian Sea, and then also westerly rains coming from Mediterranean, they also came. And all these three systems collided at Charsada. And in Charsada, Peshawar area, we received rainfall of whole year in less than 24 hours. 600 millimeter rainfall, you can imagine. And that was the reason that, the whole area was flooded, and we didn't have any control of the water. Should there have been a Kalabagh Dam, water could have been stored and released slowly. But since there was no control, so all the water went into the Sindh. So this is likely to happen, in future too. And there are some evidences that this thing may happen. For example, we have been receiving westerlies quite late in February or March, which is not usually the case in our area.
Well, sir, the Council of Common Interest also believes that the flood protection has now become a provincial subject, and the provinces should finance more projects in their domains to protect the lives, properties, agriculture and livelihood of the populations. What is your view on that, sir?
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, you see, the provinces, for example, except in Punjab.
How much of the responsibility must be taken up by the federation, and how much of it should be left to the provinces? So this must be done in a very scientific way in order to prevent the damage that is likely to occur, sir. Why is it not being taken seriously?
Yeah, well, I think it is a very very low political will of the previous two governments, I would say. Because we had these provincial disaster management authorities in all the provinces, and then we have also district disaster management authorities in all the districts. But unfortunately, the budget, the only disaster management authority which is functional to some extent, that is the Punjab Disaster Management Authority. Sindh is rudimentary, KP is rudimentary, Balochistan is very rudimentary.
Sir, the thing is that with these disaster management authorities, it is always after the fact the disaster has taken place and then they come into play their role to alleviate the suffering of the people. Why can't we have preemptive measures, sir? Why do we have to wait for that disaster to occur and then get proactive in order to help the people? Why can't we prevent these disasters from taking place by making adequate scientific solutions to these problems, which are, I'm sure, available, sir?
Yeah, absolutely, because the mode, the government and the institutions, they are always in the relief mode, Whenever there is a disastrous flood or drought or whatever, immediately the relief effort starts, and then, the government start giving, some money and some goods and free goods to the people, and then the thing satisfied. That is literally a waste of money. So actually, more effort should be given on the preparedness basis and construction of the infrastructures, flood protection infrastructures, as well as the construction of the small or mini dams to address the drought issues as well. For example, I have visited many times Thar area, and I wonder that in Sangad, this Nara Canal, that is the end in the Sangad area basically. So why don't we, people of Sindh and Punjab talk together and have this Kalabagh Dam done and more water released into the Nara Canal, and then that canal is extended into Tharparkar and Mithi and Umarkot area. I mean, I don't know why the people don't think like that. The political leaders. This is their job.
Absolutely,
they
sir.
should be talking about the prosperity of their, because every year, we have spent. Sindh government has spent so much of money for filtration plants and drinking water, but the real solution is something else.
Well, sir, former Minister for Water and Power, Mr. Khaja Asif, has also said that the floods in 2010 alone caused $10 billion in direct damage to lives and properties, and over the period of time we've suffered over $20 billion of destruction due to floods, and not putting in our efforts to mitigate those. Again, sir, we're back at the same question: why is it that we are so slow at taking the adequate precautions?
Because I think it is a general comment I would make, because in the government system, in our bureaucracy, there is not really a very effective and efficient monitoring system and assigning of the targets and achieving of the targets through various divisions and ministries and all this and that. So every year, now these days in the district authorities, everybody is preparing the contingency plans. The water will come, this much money, few thousand rupees go to agriculture, few thousand to livestock, and I mean, this is all complete wastage of money. They should have, the proper flood resilient infrastructures done, whether in the form of embankments, check dams, or dams, major dams or small dams. That is the thing where they should invest the money. And unfortunately, this is the part which is lagging behind.
Well, sir, I hope that the powers that be understand the importance of this particular issue, and first of all release the funds that are required to be released, and then also make arrangements so that these problems do not arise in the future. We can always have a permanent solution to this problem, sir, and I hope that we are trying to do that, because water is going to be a major problem for Pakistan and in the future, sir.
Yeah, I hope so, and everybody, every Pakistani wish to that happens. But the thing is that with this present government, which has a bit of aggressive policy, I mean, if they could take some aggressive decisions and come up with some major infrastructure projects in irrigation sector, and the dams and the small dams, and particularly I'm talking about the Thar area and Badin area as well, and also I mean. Every project, whether it is a construction of the building, of a road, or everything, it has some side effects, So, and there are always mitigation measures.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for taking out the time.
One last comment I would make is that if some more rains occur, then watch out, our wheat crop will also be damaged, and it is going to impact on the wheat production as well. So
Very
it is a
unfortunate, sir.
complicated issue.
Thank you very much
Thank you
again,
very
sir,
much.
for taking out the time and sharing your views with PTV World. Well, you heard what Dr. Saab had to say, a very worrying situation, and I hope that the powers that be take cognizance and take the steps that are necessary to mitigate the problems that may follow as a result of the flood.